Police arrest a man suspected of killing 2 police officers in the southern city of Tainan. Unemployment figures hit a 9-month high. Why the government says it's just a blip. A fight for survival. The local delicacy that's under threat in central Taiwan's Sun Moon Lake. Plus,
with tensions in the Taiwan Strait at their highest point in decades, we look back on the last major military conflict between Taiwanese and Chinese forces during the Second Taiwan Strait Crisis, which took place on this day 64 years ago.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. A suspect has been arrested in connection with the killing of 2 police officers in the southern city of Tainan. The man is thought to have stabbed the officers multiple times. They were rushed to nearby hospitals but did not survive, Bing Wang reports.
This man is being arrested for killing 2 police officers in the southern city of Tainan. The suspect escaped from a minimum security prison in the area and stabbed 2 police officers on Monday on their body and neck. After an overnight manhunt, the suspect was arrested in Hsinchu, about 250 kilometers north of the scene of the crime. But police say the arrest doesn't mean the case is closed.
我们要根据侦查以及追缉的过程，或者是一个集团的犯案。
Police homicides are rare in Taiwan, including Monday stabbing. There have been 7 incidents over the last 5 years. In that same time, more than 2,000 officers have been injured on duty. Police departments are now reiterating their safety tactics.
一般都是建议他保持适当的安全距离。警政署之前有推战术3宝，就是距离。 然后掩体，还有随时使用武力的戒备。
The Monday stabbing has Taiwan's police force upping their readiness in case of another attack. The suspect will be returned to the custody of the Tainan City Police Department, and then will be put on trial for the murder of the 2 police officers. Kama Xu and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's unemployment rate has hit a 9-month high, but as John Van Trieste reports, unemployment is expected to go down soon as newly graduated students find jobs and the job market recovers from COVID.
The class of 2022 has its diplomas in hand. Now it's time to find a job. An influx of new students into the job market pushed Taiwan's July unemployment rate to 3.78%. That's a 9-month high. But officials aren't too worried about new graduates' job prospects.
最主要是季节性的因素影响。那经过季节调整之后，我们发现，其实我们的劳动市场其实呈现一个稳定的一个状态。
And there's reason to be optimistic. Around 1,000 people left unemployed due to COVID's economic impact found work again last month. More are expected to follow as life gets back to normal.
年底之前或农历年前，边境解封的话，在这个航空业、空运业以及餐饮业、观光业部分陆续会有职缺的一个释出。那至于科技业部分，当然持续都是呈现一个缺工的一个状况。
And while the outlook for Taiwan's exports is uncertain through the end of the year, for now they are doing well. Orders in July were worth more than $45 billion. That's the second highest for any July on record. And good news for employment in an export-driven economy. Asnaya Zhou and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is easing its COVID border restrictions and allowing more international travelers into the country. But new arrivals must still spend 3 days in isolation. 50,000 people can now enter Taiwan each week. That's an increase of 10,000 from the previous limit. The country's Central Epidemic Command Center says regional COVID cases are falling and that Taiwan's medical system has the capacity to handle more cases. Taiwan's Pandemic Response Task Force is defending its decision to keep confidential the purchase price of COVID-19 vaccines. The agency has faced criticism for allegedly sealing contracts with vaccine manufacturers for 30 years. The task force acknowledges that the actual confidentiality requirements are 5 to 7 years, depending on the company. They revealed that Taiwan paid an average of $25 per dose.
今天早上报告的那个单价是没有包含这些运输、冷链，还有这个管销费用这些没有。疫苗保密期限过了之后，我想这个都可以公开。
In northeastern Taiwan, the head of Yilan County, Lin Zimiao, has been charged with alleged corruption.
林自妙林县长是一县之长，本应该恪遵职守、廉洁至此但是为继续免用98号土地的临时建筑物，那土地地主维持免征土地增值税，对于违背职务的行为收受不正利益。
About a dozen others are also charged in the case, including Lin's daughter. Lin was taken into custody in February but has since been out on bail. She is running for re-election in November. Taiwan's Premier Su Zhenchang says a controversial bill regulating digital platforms has been scrapped indefinitely. A draft of the bill published online was put on hold this weekend after it received overwhelmingly negative feedback. The Digital Intermediary Service Act was designed to fight fake news and online scammers, but the ambiguity of much of its wording raised fears it would have a chilling effect on freedom of speech online. Su says the government will seek public consensus before the bill can be reintroduced. A team in Taiwan has created an AI system that can predict a patient's chances of developing obesity-related diseases. In 2020, 8 of Taiwan's 10 leading causes of death were tied to obesity. These include cardiovascular disease and diabetes. The system uses patients' genomes and clinical history, as well as big data, to generate its prediction. The team behind the system says it can predict a heart attack with 66% accuracy and the onset of diabetes with 75% accuracy. Doctors say it could even pick up on abnormalities that might escape notice.
其实我们找到相当多完全正常的病人，他就是有冠状动脉狭窄的，就他的心电图检查完全是正常的。我们曾经看过那个病人，他是去年来开脚。 那时候开刀前做心电图就是完全正常，那今年就发现原来他就是冠状动脉3条冠状动脉阻塞，然后突然心肌梗塞就来医院的。
A species of invasive fish is threatening a local delicacy in central Taiwan's scenic Sun Moon Lake. Ryan Kirkpatrick explains.
Under the serene waters of central Taiwan's Sun Moon Lake, a vicious battle for survival rages on. The giant snakehead, an invasive species that can grow up to 1.5 meters long, is preying on the native azuré, a delicacy so prized by the country's former leader Chiang Kai-shek that it's known locally as the president's fish. Even after people here resorted to net pens to protect their fish from the giant snakehead, the predators are tearing through.
吃完鱼又循着这个洞出去，你看鱼虎聪不聪明？
This mobile phone footage, showing schools of juvenile snakeheads, has fishermen on edge. They say the new generation is becoming even craftier, learning to evade human attention. As the snakehead's breeding season gets underway, county officials say they're acting to rein in the predator's population.
之前我们都没有看到比较具体的鱼球，当地的那个渔民有通报那也有录影下来。 那所以说，我们从今天开始，我们也会赶快进场要去做防的动作。
Electrofishing, where fish are stunned with electricity, will be used to bring down the number of snakeheads. Eels from Australia have also been introduced into the lake to prey on the juveniles, all in the hopes of protecting the president's fish. Ryan Kilpatrick for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, from comic strips to carpentry, one French national is putting his skills to good use here in Taiwan.
湾最有人情味的地方。
Thanks for watching TaiwanPlus. For more great stories from Taiwan and around the world, please download the TaiwanPlus app.
Hi everyone, it's Yin Khvat here and my go-to co-host, Mr. Sweet Open. In this episode, we will teach you some very useful Mandarin phrases. 再见, it means goodbye.
再见, 再见. I'm ready to go the minute I see you.
不然我再来杯吗？哇，那就不好意思。
Time goes by so fast.
Now it's time to say goodbye.
According to CNN, of a survey done of 40 of the foods that you need to eat in Taiwan, roe-fine or braised pork rice is at the very top. This is the number one thing. $15 US, 16 US dollars, 18 US dollars.
Wait, what? Huh? Wait, did we get the wrong card?
No, don't waste your money. Just go and eat what local people do.
Jason's Table Shocked and Surprised is now available on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Today is the 64th anniversary of the last major clash between Chinese and Taiwanese armed forces. With the threat of war in the Taiwan Strait once more making international headlines, our reporter Ed Moon travelled to the outlying islands of Jinmen to learn how the conflict still resonates to this day.
Tank traps and artillery, the legacies of war, and potent reminders of the last time conflict broke out across the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan's Jinmen County lies only 10 kilometers from the Chinese mainland. In contrast, it's over 200 kilometers from Taiwan's main island.
When the People's Republic of China was founded in 1949, the defeated nationalists moved from their capital in China's south to Taipei in Taiwan. But they never gave up their hope of retaking the mainland. They kept much stronger forces on islands closer to China. These included the Jinmen Islands, where I am today.
On August 23rd, 1958, Chinese artillery unleashed a devastating barrage of fire on Jinmen. There was nowhere for the people and soldiers stationed here to escape to. Everywhere was in range, and everything was a target. It's widely known as the Second Taiwan Strait Crisis. In the space of 2 hours on the evening of August 23rd, 600 pieces of Chinese artillery unleashed 40,000 rounds, killing 3 of Taiwan's top generals and injuring the visiting defense minister. Forces from China's People's Liberation Army also attempted a landing on one of Jinmen's islands, but were beaten back by the Taiwanese Navy. Chiang Kai-shek, the head of the Chinese nationalist government in Taiwan, was determined to make a stand on Jinmen, despite reluctance from his American allies. For Jiang, there were a link between Taiwan and China. For the communists, they were a stepping stone to taking Taiwan. And so for the people of Jinmen, war became an everyday fact of life. Zhang Jingli was born and raised in Jinmen and headed up a local militia unit.
那个时候金门人哦，这个在蒋介石的领导之下哦，大家反共的这个决心非常的坚定。我们就是要保家保命嘛，保国嘛，所以。 男女通通都有枪，我们都有枪，家里都有枪，男女这边天天都要去打靶。我们要盖一栋房子要留射口，万一战争来，我们躲在里面打外面，都训练的很厉害啊。
But as Taiwanese veteran Lin Shiliang tells us, a rifle could offer no protection from the August 23rd bombardment.
你要掩蔽，我们都这样蹲起来，靠。 枪毙比较安全，你有钢盔带的，这样比较安全。 不适合他们的站起来讲话，那很危险。那个炮弹皮从这个肚子飞过去，这个肠的跑出来。
The main Chinese assault on Jinmen lasted for over 3 months, killing and injuring thousands of people. But bombardment of the island continued on alternate days for over 20 years, until China and the United States established diplomatic relations in 1979. The experience has had a profound impact on how people here feel about the prospect of a future conflict, especially in light of Russia's invasion of Ukraine earlier this year. Many comparisons have been drawn between the two countries, both in the shadow of a powerful authoritarian neighbor.
不要战争，一打下去啊，台湾就是乌克兰啊，30年恢复不起来啊！大家要认清这一点啊！战争无情啊，和平无价。
Despite a shared belief that future conflict should be avoided, the veterans of the Second Taiwan Strait Crisis are also united in their belief that without their efforts, the Taiwan of today wouldn't be possible. While Taiwan hasn't formally declared independence, it functions as a nation with its own military, currency, and democratic government. But Communist China maintains that Taiwan is a part of its People's Republic.
我们中华民国有了这个823战役之后，才真正的独立，我们战胜了这个战役，所以说我们保存了台湾的这个独立的这个存在。
64 years later, and their hard-won peace seems closer to ending than it has in decades. Rick E. and Ed Moon for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen has said that the Second Taiwan Strait Crisis proved to the world that the country has the ability and will to defend itself. Tsai was speaking during a meeting with a visiting delegation from the Hoover Institution in the United States. She paid tribute to the people who fought in the conflict.
64年前的823战役，因为台湾军民团结一致，守护住台湾，才有今天的民主台湾。
The leader of a bipartisan Japanese delegation visiting Taipei has described recent Chinese intimidation toward Taiwan as unacceptable. Keiji Furuya made the comments during a meeting with Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen. Furuya is from Japan's governing Liberal Democratic Party and chairs a council that oversees relations between Japan and Taiwan. Tsai thanked Furuya for his continued support, calling him an old friend. The delegation is due to meet with senior Taiwanese defense officials and says stability in the region is critical.
台湾が自由で開かれたインド太平洋の地理的重心に位置しているのであります。だからこそ台湾海峡の平和と安定は我が国の安全保障がもとより国際社会にとっても極めて重要なのであります。
The US and South Korea have kicked off their largest joint military exercises in years near the capital city of Seoul. They had been postponed partly due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
오늘부터 4일간 을지 연습을 실시합니다. 올해는 지난 5년간 축소돼 시행되어 온 을지 훈련을 실제 상황을 저희가 정밀하게 시나리오화해서 이거를 전제로 한 그 연습으로 바꿔서 이 을지 연습을 정상화해서 군사 연습인 프리덤 쉴드와 통합해서 시행하게 되었습니다.
The last round of large-scale joint exercises was held in 2017 and included live-fire drills using tanks and other military vehicles. Officials have not revealed the number of troops taking part in this year's exercises. They take place as North Korea has been ramping up its weapons tests, launching more than 30 ballistic missiles so far this year. In China, persistently high temperatures and the worst drought in decades are putting pressure on the country's power supply. The usually glittering skyline of Shanghai was plunged into darkness on Monday evening as the financial hub attempted to save energy. Areas of southwestern China are also struggling as temperatures soar above 40 degrees Celsius, along with household energy demands. This comes as the region deals with low hydropower output caused by a drought. In Sichuan province, authorities have extended a 5-day shutdown order for factories to conserve power for its 84 million residents. The measure will affect several Taiwanese companies, including Foxconn. David Barra is a professional comic artist, and he's also very good with his hands. Moving from France to Taiwan 10 years ago, he helped rebuild his wife's family home into a space for culture and sharing. Here's his story.
Après plusieurs années de mariage en France, avec ma femme, on a décidé de venir vivre à Taïwan. Et du coup, je me suis rendu compte qu'on pouvait faire plein de choses au niveau travail à Taïwan. Et ça fait 10 ans qu'on y est. Pour la BD, pour dessiner, je dessine depuis toujours. Mais comme j'étais aussi bon à l'école, on m'a dit fais des études, c'est mieux. Donc j'ai fait des études d'ingénieur parce que ça m'intéressait aussi à côté. Et quand je suis arrivé à Taïwan, on savait que le mandarin Daily News, Go the Bao, cherchait des gens. Donc j'ai proposé quelque chose. Donc il y avait Blancha, l'histoire d'un chat qui arrive à Taïwan, qui découvre la vie à Taïwan. Puis ils ont dit OK. Donc là j'ai vu qu'on pouvait vraiment commencer à en faire un métier. Avant de venir à Taïwan, donc je travaillais en France, j'étais ingénieur pour le groupe Thales dans l'industrie militaire. On travaille sur des logiciels pour aider au contrôle du trafic aérien d'un point de vue militaire. Quand on est venu à Taïwan, ça peut te faire peur de dire qu'on va changer de vie, tout abandonner. Quand j'ai travaillé, je travaille dans une entreprise qui était internationale. Donc quasiment toutes les semaines, tous les mois, je rencontrais des clients étrangers. Donc je parle plusieurs langues, je parle anglais, espagnol, italien et allemand. Donc, et ma femme parlait chinois, donc je voulais apprendre le chinois. Et j'ai jamais eu peur de changer de vie. J'ai rencontré ma femme à Paris il y a très longtemps. On s'est mariés en France. Elle a fait une thèse en théâtre et on s'est rendu compte qu'elle ne pouvait pas avoir de travail en France. Alors on a réfléchi. Ming-Swan voulait rentrer un peu pour voir. Et puis j'ai posé un congé sabbatique pour venir à Taïwan, pour apprendre le chinois en premier temps. Et ben je suis toujours à Taïwan depuis. L'histoire de la maison, c'est qu'elle appartient en fait au grand-père de ma femme qui était vendeur de vélos, qui a 4 maisons. Et en fait la première partie du fond là, c'est la plus vieille, ça date de 1939. Un jour elle m'a emmené ici. Et la première fois que je suis rentré, j'ai pas compris comment ça avait été fait. Et donc j'ai passé une après-midi à tout mesurer pour faire un plan sur le papier, pour le moment me rendre compte de ce que c'était cet endroit. Et je me suis rendu compte qu'il y avait plein de places. On a pris la décision de faire les travaux par nous-mêmes, ça coûtera moins cher, puis ça sera plus intéressant. Et on pourra vraiment faire ce qu'on veut en fait. Moi je sais faire les travaux, mon père il a été menuisier pendant longtemps. Et tout petit, quand il faisait les travaux dans notre maison, il m'a toujours appris, montré comment il faisait. Il y a eu des difficultés. La première, c'était pour acheter les outils et les matériaux. Quand j'allais acheter, souvent les gens ne voulaient pas me vendre. Ils ne comprenaient pas pourquoi je faisais des travaux moi-même. Pendant les premiers mois, j'ai vraiment roulé dans toute Yaï. En scooter, j'ai fait toutes les rues pour trouver des magasins. Et je me suis fait une carte un peu magique avec tous les endroits où on peut acheter des vis, du bois, tout ça. Pour rénover la vieille maison qui date de 1939, pour cette partie-là, on voulait garder le style. Et on a rencontré un problème, c'est qu'on ne trouve plus ce genre de briques rouges, très longues. Maintenant, si on regarde, toutes les briques sont plutôt oranges et plus petites. Et donc, on a dû casser des murs de l'autre côté, refaire un mur avec les anciennes briques. Donc l'idée, c'est d'avoir un espace culturel avec une entrée, quel café, et qui ouvre sur un espace où il y aurait une salle d'exposition, une salle de spectacle, qui sert à ça à la fois, et une salle de cours à côté. Donc c'est vraiment tout un ensemble, un espace, boîte à outils, où on peut faire plein de choses en fait. L'avantage de la bande dessinée, c'est que ça nous force à regarder les choses. En fait, quand on veut dessiner un objet, ou dessiner quelque chose, il faut comprendre comment c'est fait. Donc souvent on passe beaucoup de temps à regarder dans la vraie vie, quand on est à l'étranger, ça aide aussi. Parce que quand on arrive dans un pays qui est complètement différent, du coup, ça aide à ne pas avoir peur et à se forcer à essayer de comprendre les différences culturelles. Cela fait déjà 10 ans que je suis ici et j'ai l'impression d'avoir à peine commencé tout ce que je voulais faire.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. Finally, we leave you with images of German warships sunk during World War II near a Serbian river port town. The hulls of dozens of explosives-laden vessels are now exposed as Europe faces its worst drought in years. The water in the mighty Danube River has fallen to one of the lowest levels in almost a century. For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, please download the TaiwanPlus app. Stay safe and see you next time.